Hello there, Aries. It's May 2019. Dadhichi here with your horoscope for the month and a brief look at some of the influences that you can expect playing out in your life over the next few weeks. Operative word brief. I won't go into too much detail. We have the written text reports on the month at the site. I'll tell you about that later. But at least if you've got a handle on where the main focus is. And right now we see the month starting with this very enchanting Moon-Neptune conjunction, casting a very favourable influence here to your domestic sphere. That is a very private lunar position. In other words, the 12th house of your horoscope is activated. It then moves quickly to join the very illustrious Mercury and Venus in your first house, your sun sign of Aries. You notice, however, that these planets are not functioning too well this month due to the influence of your career planet, Saturn. You'll notice also that it's retrograde, along with Jupiter, your other favourable planet, and Pluto, all in this upper part of the horoscope. So whilst the Venus and the Mercury usually show a lovely attractive quality, and that may still be the case, you are indeed challenged by what's happening at work. You may want to enjoy yourself, but all of this stuff could be dragging you back. This is also a very deliberate what we call square or right angle from Mercury. Right at the beginning of the month, an exact square, showing your thinking is slowed down, more deliberate, and that's also shown by the retrograde Saturn. Often we talk about that with the retrogression of Mercury, but as we see, Saturn is no different to Mercury or Venus or any of the other planets, excepting the Sun and the Moon, in that they do move into that backward dance occasionally, as these ones are right now at the upper part of your horoscope. So your work, and this is going to affect your domestic sphere. Notice Saturn has a very powerful aspect to your North Node or your karma. So this is probably a period of your life that's a big fork in the road, Aries. You may need to make some big decisions this month, but the retrograde planets often caution you to make those decisions too quickly. In other words, this planet is going to be taking stock. And that is why this deep thinking, this delayed thinking is taking place. Now over here we see these two isolated points, Uranus and the Sun. They'll be triggered a little later when the Moon moves thereabouts to the midpoint of these two planets, and that's around May 4th. This has to do with your finances. That could be a welcome relief to the tension that you've been feeling in your work, as we see the triangular aspect of the Sun, Moon and Uranus. Sudden, perhaps pleasant from what we see here in these positive aspects as far as your finances are concerned. That's also, by the way, a new moon on the 5th. Here in the finance sector, the new moon usually indicates some breakthrough or change or new pattern that's going to occur in the financial area of your life. Mercury also joins this second house on the 7th, and Moon and Mars make a connection there in your third house of communications and contracts around the 7th. Got to be careful of that. This is your ruling planet, and it is making a very big opposition aspect to Jupiter, that retrograde planet in the 9th house, having to do with your luck, having to do with expenses, and also travels, by the way, and Mars here challenging that. So ordinarily we say that this is a travel combo, but with the opposition of Jupiter, there may be some delays there as well in that area of your life. The Moon transits the node in your 4th house. Not a particularly nice transit. This could bring some heavy information on the home front, emotional issues that you need to deal with. There again, the squares to the 5th house of children. So this is all domestic stuff. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And what I'm looking for is the opposition aspect that we see here later in the month of the moon. A couple of things, however. This transit of your ruling planet into the 4th house of your domestic activities. Again, this is going to build a lot of tension over the coming months, with Mars moving into the opposition of Saturn. Not as fast a moving planet as the moon, of course, or Mercury and the sun, but it will start to show its energies there in your domestic sphere. There's the full moon on the 19th, taking place in your 8th house of shared resources, sexuality and matters of intimacy. So that could be a strongly emotional period for you over those few days. The conjunction to Jupiter on the 20th is always welcome, even if it's a retrograde Jupiter. Although you do have the square from Neptune, 9th house is your ideals, 12th house is religious and philosophical elements as well. So it could be that you'll be having a bit of a deeper thought about these matters throughout these few days, 19, 20, 21. And then into your professional sector, the moon enters some nice aspects to this 2nd house. Venus and Uranus, I didn't mention that, probably a few days earlier. Venus being your finance planet and in good aspect to Saturn and, well, not yet, but at least to the moon throughout this period, indicates the possibility of increased finances and better money matters for you. The 11th house is good for your social affairs after the 24th, transiting through the 11th house. That should also bring with it some nice influences when it comes back into your 1st house, aspecting on May 30th your relationships. On the 31st, it finishes on a note of finances, which seems to be an important thread for you this month. As I mentioned earlier, Aries, take a look at the renditions we have there in the monthly readings at astrology.com.au. The yearly forecast is there for you. You can contextualize all of this and see exactly where it's going over the next few months. I do look forward to your company next month. Take care now. Bye-bye.